Hey guys, it's Jeff here from Tasty Bass Licks. Today we're going to go over the Acme Audio Motown DI. Now, we're going to be talking about the history of the unit. There's actually some online controversy surrounding the current production, and then we have a ton of sound tests. Coming up next. So what's really cool about this unit is it's a recreation of the original DI boxes that were used at Motown by people like James Jamerson and Dennis Coffey. The Wolfbox, as it was called by James Jamerson, was designed by a guy named Ed Wolfrum in either the late 1950s or the early 1960s. Ed was selling these all over Detroit before he even worked at Motown. Here's a little backstory on the creation of this unit in Ed's own words.
Ed says, "When I was 16, I designed and built something I called a direct box while I was working at WEXL. Basically, it allowed consumer quality sound gear to interface with professional audio equipment, which considerably enhanced the quality of the finished product. I used it to interface the audio gear of local groups to the audio systems at halls for record hops, which made them sound much better."
This simple design, according to Ed, was the first of its kind, which means that when Ed was 16, he invented the DI box. Unfortunately, he didn't get a patent for it at that time.
The original DI box utilized a third-party manufactured triad A11J or A12J transformer. According to Wolfrum, in the 1960s and 70s, knowledgeable engineers realized that all transformers introduce what is now called character. This so-called character was the appeal of the device, and the A11-12J transformers were the reason.
So for the rest of the story, we're going to have to fast forward to around 2010, when Grammy-winning producer Al Sutton does an album with Dennis Coffey. Now, what do you think that Dennis Coffey brings with him to the session? Yeah, an original Motown Wolfbox. Al loves the sound of it. He's getting bass sounds like he's never gotten before. So Al tracks down Ed Wolfrum. They partner up and they start re-releasing Wolfboxes with new old stock Triad transformers. Al loves the sound of this transformer so much, he gets in touch with Triad Magnetics, and it takes about a year, but they start reissuing the transformer right down to the original specs. You can actually buy it online. That's what's in all of these Motown boxes. Here's what Al had to say about it in an interview.
In an interview with Produce Like a Pro, Al states, "I tried every transformer I could get my hands on, and nothing could come close to that original transformer. So I eventually had to badger the manufacturer to make it again, and that took probably over a year."
So now onto the controversy part of the story. It deals with an element called molybdenum. Can you say that 3 times fast? Here, let me try. Molybdenum. Molybdenum. Never mind. Anyway, so when I was researching the information about this video, I came across all these comments on Gearspace and TalkBass, and they were talking about molybdenum. Supposedly, it was rare as hen's teeth. Some people called it unobtainium. It was in the old transformers, but wasn't in the new transformers. It couldn't be manufactured anymore. Well, as I looked up the element, I actually found that the US has mined about 60,000 to 30,000 metric tons of it a year since 2010. So where did this idea come from? I dug a little bit deeper, and I believe that the origin of this story actually came from an Ed Wolfrum article. Here's what he had to say.
Many of these exotic materials, in particular molybdenum, have now been restricted in mining and subsequently banned from certain industrial use in the United States because of health and environmental hazards. Molybdenum mining and processing is expensive and environmentally dangerous stuff, and thus scientifically and medically problematic. Clearly, for moral and health reasons, molybdenum was out of the picture for any new quality US-made transformers.
Ed's facts could be totally true. Moly might be harder to mine and refine than it was in the 1950s, but that doesn't mean it didn't find its way into the reissued transformers. So for that information, I reached out to Al Sutton, and here's what he had to say.
Moly's in everything and readily available, as you probably found out on your own. To make things clear, I've attached some metallurgical scans of the vintage Triad laminate and the new Triad laminate. You can see the composition for yourself. The funny part is molybdenum is just part of the alloying process. It has nothing to do with the actual sound or performance of the transformer.
All right, if you're a Motown lover, I have some really good news for you, because I looked at the metallurgical analysis. The old transformers and the new transformers are made of exactly the same thing. I hope this finally puts this myth to bed. And with that said, let's move on to my favorite thing and why we're here, the sound test. Okay, so this is my favorite part of the video, which is the sound test. We're going to be plugging in a precision bass, a jazz bass, and a short scale bass. And we're also going to be using a couple other pieces of gear other than the Motown DI. For the audio interface, I've chosen a Babyface Pro FS. It has a great clock, so there should be low jitter. Also, we're going to be using a mic pre, the BAE 1073 MPF. Okay, I got that all out. That's a Neve style clone, right? It's supposed to be really close to the original. I figure if you guys are going to be bringing this into the studio, you might want to hear what it sounds like in a mic pre, okay? You'll get to hear the bass soloed by itself, right? And then you're going to get to hear it in a track with all those different combinations. So yeah, you're going to get to hear what this Motown DI sounds like in the mix, which I think is super important. All right, here we go. So that was a lot of sound samples, guys. What did you hear? Now, what I liked about this unit going into the Babyface Pro is it added a lot of warmth, a lot of roundness to it. When it's going into my Neve clone, the BAE, it rolls off some of that low gooey bottom. And I think that that's just really great for sitting in a mix. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Yo, thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. I would love to make more of this content for you guys. Until next time, cheers.
Hit it with the